Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about oak galls, okay? You probably know them because they are the main ingredient of iron gall ink, which is the main ink which has been used by Western civilization throughout the centuries. But there's so much more to be said about this really weird growth that comes off plants. And today I'm going to be telling you about all the weird ways it has been used by human beings throughout the centuries and even to this day. Okay, first of all, what is a gull? Okay, these are the more common gulls. I find them, like if I go outside and take a walk, like they're literally everywhere, and they come from oaks, like these ones here. However, this is not a gull. This is radicchio, and I'm making pesto for lunch. Now, gulls. So what are gulls? Gulls come in various shapes or forms and they grow on a variety of different plants. So it's not just the ones that you see here. And they are always basically like a tumor, a weird growth, which the plant, it's basically the plant's reaction to different pathogens which affect the plant. So these pathogens range from viruses to bacteria to insects, all kinds of things which can attack the plant, and then the plant kind of tries to isolate this pathogen, a little bit like a zit really, or you know when you get like a bubble of pus. Sorry, I'm also cooking food, but you know when you get a bubble of pus which is kind of like surrounding a thorn which you get in your finger, a little bit like that, okay? So the plant reacts and sends all these this variety of compounds towards this area of the plant to isolate whatever pathogen is attacking it, okay? It happens with many different plants and it happens with many different pathogens, but most of the times it happens with oak trees. This is the plant which has the most different kinds of gulls occurring, okay? And the most famous gulls are the ones which happen when a kind of wasp nests on the oak tree, and the oak tree sends all these kind of different chemicals towards this part of the plant, and it creates this growth, which is this one here, that surrounds the nest. Now, this is actually part of the plan for the wasp because the chemicals which get sent here are antibacterial, antimycotic, they are astringent, they have all kinds of different properties which are great for defending the plant from this pathogen, but they're also great for defending the little larvae which is nested inside here and which is growing inside here, and that eventually will make a hole and get out. In fact, when you see these with a hole, it means that the wasp has already gotten out, okay? Now, sometimes it also happens that a bird knows this and goes to get inside the gull to eat the larvae. So now you get an idea of what this is. Now imagine people of ancient civilization seeing like these weird spheres hanging off the plants and not knowing exactly what they were, and then opening them up and finding all this, you know, kind of gross stuff inside. So human beings of the past came up with a variety of different meanings surround and different uses for this growth. Now, in the Middle Ages, they were even used for foretelling the future, for example. So they would open up the gull, and I guess it was better than looking at the entrails of animals, probably cleaner as well. So they would open it up, and based on what they found inside, they could foretell the future. So for example, spiders would be a prediction of pestilence. Flies would be a prediction of war. Maggots would be predicting that there was going to be the plague, okay? And then ants was going to be a good year, basically. So there was something you could find inside that would be a prediction for something good. Certainly the most famous use that gulls have had in history is iron gull ink. So iron gull ink is an ink which is made with iron and gallic acid, okay? So these, as I told you before, these galls have a very, very high concentration of chemicals which are very, very active, okay, which otherwise you wouldn't find them in such a concentration in the rest of the plant, and it's very rare to find them in nature. To give you an idea, the dry weight of galls is like around 60% tannins. That's really, really high. And these tannins are what you use to create this ink. Now, this ink was very, very successful because it's so long lasting. Okay, so ink, a variety of different things have been used for making ink. Traditionally, like Chinese ink, the first forms of ink came from burnt wood or burnt oil. So from the ashes of burnt wood, or even better, burnt oil in the case of Chinese ink. Now this resulted in something very beautiful, very fluid. For example, in Asia, there was also the concept that when you wrote, it had to be also a sensual experience, okay? So it had to run very well on the page. So this was a very important part of it. The thing was that here in Western civilization, they were more concerned with how long lasting it was. And Chinese ink, so this kind of ink which was made with burnt oil, was really not the best or not quite as long lasting, okay? This is very, very long lasting, and in fact it can last even 1500 years. It has been found even on the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay? So it can last for a very, very long time. It came, in fact, from the Arabs. It was imported to the Westerners during the Middle Ages. So, as I was saying, we have the ferrous sulfate, which is the kind of iron that we have inside this ink, along with the gallic acid, and then there's other ingredients, different kinds of recipes, recommend different kinds of ingredients. And just so you know, I mean, this has been used forever. Even in the 1900s, we still had it. And because it was so long lasting, it was even recommended by governments as well. It was often the only ink which was allowed to be used because it was so reliable. And it also, you can't delete it off the page. Okay, so you can't just rub it off the page or apply water and have it come off the page. So for this, it was just more reliable as a source as well. If you found something written in iron gallic ink, it was something that you couldn't tamper with, all right? So for example, the American Postal Service had their own recipe, okay? And in Germany, it was ordered as the ink to be used for government official papers up until the 70s, all right? So it's been used till really, really quite recently, okay? Initially, when you use this ink on the paper, you result with an ink which is bluey purple, but with time it becomes brown, however, very long lasting. It does have, however, an issue that does come up with time, which I found quite interesting. You don't result with the ink dying out or becoming just less so invisible that you can't read. What happens is that it actually corrodes the paper. So we have a big problem with this ink that is actually corroding the paper on which it is written. Now, this didn't happen on parchment. So, for example, Dead Sea Scrolls and all these older supports for writing didn't create a problem with this ink because they were treated with lime, which is highly alkaline, and so they kind of balance themselves out. But now, using paper, and during the Middle Ages, with the advent of paper, we are actually seeing that centuries later, a lot, especially in the presence of humidity, where the ink has been applied, it has a corrosive effect. So, for example, a lot of things written by Bach were lost because of the effects of this ink. Now, this can be resolved if you wanted to use this ink today. There are actually recipes that supply you with an ink which is much less acidic, and I'm going to link below the website of this guy who has created an incredible recipe that you can use which doesn't have this effect on paper. So I think I've told you enough about the ink in itself, which is, as I said, definitely what the gall is most famous for. But this rich concentration of different compounds and especially tannins has not been used just for creating ink. The ink, it was used not only for writing, but also for dyeing cloth and for all these kind of things. The high concentration of tannic acid, of flavonoids, this makes this gall literally like a bomb of chemicals which were accessible even to the medicine of ancient times. So extracts from these galls were used for a variety of ailments like ulcers, like hemorrhoids, and all kinds of problems. And what I found very interesting is that they are still used today to cure a wide range of ailments of the female reproductive system. So researcher Madese Mahboubi from Iran has made a study which I found very interesting about specifically this, about how the traditional use of galls in Iran for the cure of these ailments can be used also today, and how it is very, very effective. In fact, when I was reading the list of some of the compounds found in galls, I found that some of the ingredients were the same as on certain medications which are used for these ailments still today, which are supplied just by regular pharmacies. Okay, so it's not even like herbal remedies, but just like regular pharmaceuticals. So yes, I found this very, very interesting. I hope you found this interesting too. I love finding the connection between modern day pastimes and just uses in different kind of branches. And I definitely want to talk more about the use of different ingredients for making different kinds of inks, like walnut ink, like Chinese ink, and like iron gall ink in the future. And also I want to tell you more about the origins of different paints which were used in frescoes and in paintings as we go forward. So if there's anything in particular you want to know about the origins of different colors, let me know in the comments below, and have a lovely day, and don't forget to subscribe.